Hello, my name is Ingrid Boudet, and I'm founder of No More Noise Toronto. We are just over 1 year old now officially, but have been around a little bit longer than that. And so I thought it was time to start talking about our strategy. So on May 18th, we had a session, and I sometimes tend to think in worksheets. So I shared one, and I'm happy to share that with you now. And this incorporates feedback based on that session as well. So the spreadsheet here has two groups of information, one regarding No More Noise Toronto, the other one regarding our special interest groups that we're basically working with, or stakeholders is another word that we could use. For No More Noise, we're talking about the corporate structure. We do have the domain nomorenoise.ca, just as a note. Do we incorporate as a not-for-profit or as a for-profit, or do we stay grassroots for a while? Many times how we are structured will depend on the funding we can get. So members had some advice and some thoughts, so we need to look at that a little bit more and talk about the pros and the cons. And then the long-term objective for that is let's get it done. We're taking a data-centered approach to noise reduction. So we've got three different things that we're doing right now: a crowdsourced noise report, sound level meter recordings, and Civic Tech, a group that I work with, has basically built their own sound level meters. So it's a pretty cool project. I work with Toronto Metropolitan University, U of T, and Civic Tech as groups, as well as many others. But those are the ones that are related to the data. So I want to continue to promote crowdsourced noise reporting, and we're going to do that through updating the Not 311 noise report to a community noise report. Basically, we've got some lessons that we've learned, and so it's time to refresh that report and make it work just a little bit better. For the sound level meter recordings, we will continue to take measurements at locations and create a database. And then for the Civic Tech meters, we're going to promote those to the public when they're ready. And this will create a public database of sound data. And we basically want to promote all of those widely and have our research used in a study. I think that would be amazing. Our membership, we need to increase our newsletter subscribers. That's basically how I look at membership. And also social media followers. And that's the two ways that I could basically count numbers. And so to do that and to better manage membership, I want to learn a little bit more about you, and that means segmenting the audience to your noise source. So in the next newsletter that's coming up, I'm going to have questions about what is your most common top 3 noise sources, or what are the noise sources that bother you the most? And so I can target the communications to you for those sources. And that's what I mentioned over here in point 1. I want to develop Instagram a little bit more. It's great for video, and that could be a possible way of doing some citizen reporting. We will also continue to have online meetings, meetups, and webinars about once a month. And then in-person events, would love to have some of those and welcome some ideas. And then I am an approved speaker for the Toronto Public Library, so it'd be great to have a speaking tour possibly in the fall. And all of these to increase membership, of course. It'd be great to have a goal of maybe 4,000 in the end of 6 months, and also look at having other chapters in other cities. And the longer term objectives is to develop a national network of groups, and then we work to lobby the federal government. Everybody needs money, and so do we. We go by donations right now. There's also grants that we can apply for, depending on if for profits or not for profits or grassroots. And there's also organizations and foundations that do funding. So I'd like to have a little bit more look into that, because we need to have the goal is to a solid fundraising base. And I'm not sure if it's worth it to have monthly goals or share the costs spreadsheet so that people know where their money is going. We can also apply to get money from the government. Some people have access to information there. So eventually we just want to have stable funding so we can continue doing what we do and making life better for many. So in speaking of making life better for many, these are the interest groups that we're going to be working with. So we are really lucky. The City of Toronto division that we are working with the most is Municipal Licensing and Standards, MLS. because they manage the noise bylaws. And so they have amplified sound, construction, pets, stationary noise sources, and waste collection and deliveries all under their mandate, as well as a few others. And we are collaborators with them. On June 4th, we're having a lunch and learn, which is kind of an education session for them and us. We're doing that because the bylaw changes come into effect on June 1st. So we're going to talk about those bylaw changes on June 4th, and it'd be nice to have one more event with them possibly in the summer for amplified sound. We want to create task forces and working groups to work with the different sound noise sources with MLS, and also improve amplified sound reporting and work on removing or reducing waste collection at night. So we want to try and assist the city with reporting process development. Gary York, the executive director of 311, is bringing in Salesforce to the to 311 to the city to basically do their ticketing management, and I think that's a brilliant idea. And there's lots of room for really good configuration for for the reporting process. I'd also like to build a working group for waste collection and sirens and backup beepers, because that's also something that needs attention. So long term, I would love to work with Municipal Licensing and Standards and Customer Experience Division, or 311, which is the CXD that I have here, to create a best-in-class noise reporting process. If it doesn't get measured, it won't get managed. So we need to create a best-in-class. And I would like to have no waste collection at all, or deliveries from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. That might be a bit of a big ask, but we've got to start somewhere. Toronto Police Services is the next division that we're working with, and moving vehicle noise and also the marine unit is what they cover. And I would say we're collaborators. We've had 3 phone calls with them, and they've been good, and we're learning. So they are going to do noise enforcement events in conjunction with Municipal Licensing and Standards, and they've asked us for help on determining locations, which is amazing. I would like them to do a lunch and learn similar to the June 4th event that we're having with Municipal Licensing and Standards. I'd like for Toronto Police Services to have one of those on moving vehicle noise. And then also work with them to write a letter to the province for automated noise enforcement. So we will need to create a moving vehicle task force for No More Noise Toronto. Moving vehicle noise is by far and away at least double the complaints or the reports from anybody whenever I've asked. It's motor vehicle noise, and then it's amplified sound. In the 6 months goals, I'd like to have No More Noise Toronto people at all enforcement events to audit them, have one more lunch and learn with Toronto Police Services, fix the reporting process, and present recommendations to the Toronto Police Services, such as changes to the Highway Traffic Act and fines. Longer term, establish noise camera pilot in Toronto and elsewhere, and then investigate creative ideas for moving vehicle enforcement. Someone has suggested, doing citizen reporting and sharing the offenders with insurance companies. Doing an audit of shops that are doing modifications and taking action there. And certainly investigate noise cameras is another one of those things. And possibly a provincial petition for changes and permissions for automated enforcement and increased penalties and changes to the Highway Traffic Act. City of Toronto, we are working with all of these, or working with all of these divisions. So 311 is also CXD, and we are certainly collaborators. They had an event with us on April 2nd on the changes that are coming to 311 reporting. We're also working with Municipal Licensing and Standards, as indicated above. We are petitioning Toronto Public Health to work with them. We're petitioning Toronto Accessible Advisory Committee to have a collaborative relationship with them. And we're going to need to work with Transportation Services, because my understanding is that they would be owning the noise cameras and would be part of that decision-making process. And also planning and zoning, because that is resident to resident noise issues, and also between it within a building, between walls. So we are advocating the actions for the next little while here are advocating for noise to be a part of the Toronto Public Health strategic priorities. And I'd love to have 10 or 20 people advocate for noise, either on June 4th or July 8th coming up here in Toronto. I'd like to advocate for noise to be a part of the accessibility division, and that they declare that that is part of sensory related issues that they advise on. And of course, build relationships with Toronto Transportation Services and build those connections. So again, we're the long-term goals: create a best-in-class noise reporting process, work with the city to reduce unnecessary noise, work with Toronto Public Health to create a definition of what is an acceptable soundscape that protects our health for a given context, and also possibly having a noise monitoring network in Toronto, possibly a Toronto Public Health study. We then work with councillors, and the councillors direct the city staff on what to do. So they are extremely important, and they are a part of all noise sources. And so we need to create awareness in their sphere of noise in our lives. And so we're building that relationship. I think that's a never-ending process. So we need residents to email councillors about noise. We need councillors possibly to buy meters to loan out to constituents. One councillor has already done that. And then us as people need to speak to committees that councillors sit on. 6-month goals: I'd like to meet with every councillor in the city of Toronto, and then develop a team of noise champions on those the councillors that are willing to advocate for that. So then we have provincial and federal levels. So provincial, we have the Highway Traffic Act, and they also do the sirens and beepers. They manage that protocol. Don't really have any relationships there now. I'm working with a group, Municipal Licensing and Standards, actually, to work with them to write a letter to the province for noise camera pilot and sound level monitoring. We also could write letters for changes to the Highway Traffic Act and to review siren and backup beeper protocols. And these could be province-wide petitions. We do have the technology for that. And this could be a bit ambitious, but it would be nice to have a meeting with the minister in the next 6 months to get approval for changes to the Highway Traffic Act and to at least start a review of the sirens and backup beeper protocols. Long-term, have a province-wide vehicle noise reduction program and change in siren and backup beeper legislation. And the last one is federal. And it's important, but I don't think we're going to get there right away unless somebody wants to really take that on. But federally, we have the Noise Emission Standard 1106. And this is where imports and electric vehicles need to come under that standard. And I'm not sure where it falls off the rails, but there's certainly not a lot of cohesion in what we see on our roads. And so everything should link back to the federal standard. That 1106. So we also have a right to a healthy environment. That bill was passed last year, and we also need to put noise into the Environmental Protection Act. I don't have anything going on here yet, so that is a wide open slate for somebody to assist on, or that we look forward to in the future. So with that, I just want to say thank you very much for your time and your attention. I know I was looking at another screen the whole time. I'm kind of just making this work on the long weekend. I really appreciate your support. Please visit nomoreNoiseToronto.com, and thank you very much. Have a great day.